All right, so now that you've been through the overview, let's go ahead and start the basics of Lesson 1. Let me let you know we're going to do a whole lot of talking here in the beginning because we've got to lay a foundation so that we know what it is we're talking about when I'm giving you instructions in just a little while. So let's examine your acoustic guitar. This is one of mine that I enjoy very much. But all acoustic guitars have some things in common. Electric guitars have some things in common. This area here, this is the body. This is the part of the guitar that provides resonance, amplifies the sound. Essentially, as an acoustic guitar, this chamber is an amplifier. Without this chamber, all you have is just the resonance of the string. Now, I have a sound hole cover in here that's going to dampen the string sound coming out significantly. Works well in recording purposes. Otherwise, when I play this thing, it's just way louder than my voice. But that is the sound of the string being amplified by the body. However, if I deaden the body as much as I can without damaging the guitar, hear the difference? Without it being deadened? With it being deadened? So, that's the purpose of the body, is to amplify the sound of the strings. That's this entire section, top, back, and sides. All right, what is the bridge? This is the bridge, okay? The bridge is where the strings come up out of the body and then start what's called their suspension, okay? From there, the strings, obvious, come up. They are numbered, and they are numbered what some people say is kind of counterintuitively. You'll hear people talk about the sixth string. The sixth string is the fat string up on the top, and the first string is the little one. So think of it this way, they're numbered from thinnest to thickest, or if you're playing in a standard formation, where there are a few people that play with the guitar totally upside down. But if you're playing in a standard formation, it's from the what we'd think of as the lowest string to the highest string. When actually pitch-wise, it's the opposite. This pitch is higher than this low pitch. So I prefer to think of them being numbered from thinnest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to thickest. From there, your next part that you need to know about is the nut. The nut is where the strings complete the suspension, meaning that those are the 2 points where it actually contacts the body. Other than that, the string is suspended out here for you to fret. And from there, you have the headstock, which you need to know what that is. And on that headstock, you have what are called tuning machines. They can look different on different types of guitars. And then obviously you have the neck in between. So you will need to know those parts of the guitar. There will be a test. All right, so now that we've talked about the parts of the guitar, where's the body, where is the bridge, or some people call it the saddle, where are the strings, how are they numbered, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where is the nut, the headstock, the tuning machines, and the neck. Now you've got those parts in your head, so we can begin to move towards actually giving you something to play. The problem with that is we need to talk about what that something is. So here's what I want to ask you. What is music? Boy, you could get all sorts of definitions for that. You ask the average person, what is music? A lot of people can tell you what they think music is not. Usually that just means they don't like that type of music. But music, by definition, is organized sound and silence in time. If you take out either of those 3 components, sound, silence, and time, you don't have music. It becomes something else. If you remove sound entirely, all you have is silence. Doesn't matter how much time you have. If you remove silence, and all you have is sound, that's overwhelming and it becomes noise. If you remove the sense of time, the organization within time, everything becomes noise. So, for example, if I take my little metronome and I start it, that in and of itself is musical because it is sound and silence, and it's organized with a sense of time. If I take out that organization in time and just had them playing randomly, that would not be quite as musical. If it was just click sound on top of click sound and it sounded like rain on a metal roof, that's just noise. So what I'm trying to convey to you from lesson number 1 is the most important musical concept is time, it's tempo. So how do we delineate that? Well, there's a natural, and this is in your notes, what we call a natural pulse in music. The beat is the natural pulse in music. When you're listening to the radio, it's where you would tap your foot or tap your hand. It's got that natural rhythm to it that makes your body move. It's where you would step to the music. We organize music in time through beats, and those beats are the natural pulse. Now, when we write these down, we group beats together in what are called measures. So you'll see on your sheet in example 1, there are some straight lines running straight up and down. Those are measures. They're called bar lines. And then in between them, there's 4 slashes, diagonal lines. Those diagonal lines indicate the beats. And the way we count the beat in music is usually we're counting to 4. Sometimes we're counting to 3. Never really count more than about 12. But for the most part, the highest you ever get really is 6. And there's different ways to count that. So what you'll notice is when I set my metronome to 4 beats in a measure, you'll hear that one of the clicks sounds slightly different. And that's telling you where the measure is because you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're marking those off in measures. Now, why do we do that? Well, without measures, once we started counting at 1, we would keep counting. And so anything other than just a couple of measures worth of music, you'd be counting 9,962, 9,963. That's hard to do even at that tempo. A lot of people ask why we have measures. That's the reason. It makes it easier for us to count and follow along. So, as you look at example 1 on page 2 of how the rhythm will be delineated so that you'll know where you are in the music, the slashes indicate the beats, the diagonal lines, counting 1, 2, 3, 4. And each of the vertical lines represent a measure. So when you get to the end of a measure, you start counting over with 1. This will all make sense in just a little while. Let's now move on to how to seat yourself.